Hello everyone, this is Stephen Balch, your instructor for Introduction to Microeconomics at Ozarka College. Today what I'm going to do is give you a little bit of feedback on the chapters 12 and 13 activities that I finished grading this morning. And then I'm going to tell you what we've got coming up due for chapters 14 and 15. Okay? So the first thing is, like I said, I did finish grading the chapters 12 and 13 activities this morning. So go ahead and look at your grades for those activities and read the grading comments and let me know if you have any questions. If I had to count some points off on the assignment, I tried to be very specific on, why I did and what the correct answer should have been or where it could be found in the textbook. But like I said, if you do have questions, just let me know. Now, some of you did well on the assignment and some of you didn't do so well. There are some of you that had some difficulty with the problems, which were the last two questions on the assignment that had you work through some problems at the end of chapter 13 in the textbook. And because several of you had difficulty with those, what I've done is I've created a review video that I posted under week 11 on the activities page. I've also posted it on the announcements page as well. And I would like all of you, even those of you that did really well on the problems, I would like you to watch that video because it will explain exactly the methods that you should have gone through or the steps that you should have gone through to actually answer those questions correctly about the graphs. Just watch that video, and after watching the video, if you still have questions, just let me know, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. But I just thought that video would help those of you that had some difficulty answering those questions about the graphs. Okay? All right. Another thing I need to point out is make sure that you're using your own words on the assignment questions when you're answering those, and also the discussion questions. There's some of you that I think are relying way too much on AI and other online tools and not enough on the assigned resources. Okay? Also keep in mind that if you use any information from an external source, in other words, outside of the assigned resources, like an AI tool or some other outside source, that you need to properly cite where you got that information. You need to properly cite that source. Okay? So some of you are basically using AI and other online tools, which is fine to a certain extent, but you also need to put that information into your own words. And then if that information that you're getting from that outside source is not also included in the assigned resources, then you need to properly cite that. And some of you are not doing that. So I had to count some points off for that. The biggest thing there is to get started early enough. I think some of you are just, kind of running out of time because you're waiting too late to get started on the assignment. And so you're relying too much on AI and other online tools. So just, for future assignments, if you'll get started a little bit earlier, none of the questions on the assignments for this class are that difficult. If you're actually, using the resources that are assigned, your textbook, the PowerPoint slides, the videos that I'll link, all the information that you need to answer the questions effectively are in those resources. So, just kind of keep that in mind. If you give yourself plenty of time, I think a lot fewer of you would have, you wouldn't have those issues with trying to, just come up with something at the last minute and having to use outside resources. All right? So just let me know if you have questions about that. And let's see, the discussion that we had for chapters 12 and 13 that dealt with the economic impact of farm subsidies. I thought that went very well. I really appreciate everyone's participation and hard work on the discussion, so keep that up. Most of you did really well on that. The chapters 12 and 13 test, some of you did well on that, some of you didn't do so well. Just remember that you can take those tests as many times as you want to up until the due date. So if your first attempt, you don't make a grade that you're happy with, take it again. Your highest grade is automatically recorded, so there's not really any downside in taking the test multiple times if you need to. Okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. All right. So that brings us to what we've got coming up due next. We've got chapters 14 and 15 activities due by Monday, November 3rd. Okay? Which is not next week, but it is the beginning of week 12. So even though there's nothing due during next week or week 11 of the semester for this class, you still need to be working on those chapters 14 and 15 activities. Don't wait until the week 12 to get started, because you'll run out of time. So be working next week on that, on the chapters 14 and 15 activities. So you've got the assignment, test, and discussion all due by Monday, November 3rd. Okay, so you've got just a little over a week to get those completed. Now, chapter 14 covers public goods, common resources, and public choice. So in chapter 14, you're going to learn about the difference between public and private goods. You'll also learn about common resources and something called the tragedy of commons. You'll also learn about public choice in a democracy. And also you'll learn about something called the median voter model. And then at the very end of chapter 14, you'll learn about something called rent-seeking activities. All right? And then chapter 15 covers poverty, income inequality, and redistribution of income. All right? So in chapter 15, you're going to learn about income distribution using the Lorenz curve and some different coefficients that are used for that. And then you'll also learn about types of redistribution programs that the government uses to redistribute wealth and income in the economy to make things more fair. You'll also learn about poverty and how that's defined and so forth. You'll also learn about the unintended consequences of income assistance. There is some abuse of in any kind of government assistance programs, and so we'll look at that as well. And then at the very end of chapter 15, we'll talk about welfare reforms. Okay? So be working on chapters 14 and 15. Like I said, let me know if you have any questions. So that's really all I have for you for today. So enjoy your weekend. Enjoy next week. And I will talk to you again sometime during week 12. Thank you.